first day of school I ever skipped was to go buy the game. I didn't know it needed a subscription, right? I don't think many of us did. So I skipped my first day of school in freshman year to go buy WoW. I walked because I didn't know how to take the bus because I was an idiot. I went in with my pilfered mother's credit card, RIP, and purchased the game, came home, installed it 4 CDs, right, one at a time.
Yeah.
Was super excited. My computer my parents still have it in their house, but like that thing was a toaster. Took forever. Then like finished the song when they got home, which is when I tried to log in and realized I needed a account. It took me 2 days to convince them.
Jaman, yeah, Jaman. I hope you like a Jaman too. Welcome, one and all, to Jamancast. This podcast is dedicated to celebrating video games and delivering video game news and interviews. I adore video games, and I love sharing that every week. Stick around, I think you'll have a good time. This week we have the What's News segment, where I go over the video game news for the week. Then this week's interview, I'm joined by one of the best resto shamans in the classic game. He leads a 400-man guild called Invictus, and he creates guides. If you've played a classic resto shaman, you probably have read one of them. In fact, I have them bookmarked for easy reference. He goes by the name Egregious, and I couldn't be happier to have him on. Before we get started, I want to inform you of a few ways you can elevate your experience. I have a phone number you can call if you feel like joining in the conversation. The number you can call to leave a message is 949-407-9198. That's 949-407-9198. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Jaman the Shaman. You'll know more about what I'm up to and how you can be involved. I'm also on Twitch at, surprise, twitch.tv/Jaman. With all that out of the way, let's get this podcast started. What's news, everyone? This week, I'm going to be talking about BlizzCon. The 2019 convention happened last weekend and ate up all of my attention. So that's what I'm talking about this week. In case you missed it, I'll be going into all the new announcements as well as my opinion of them and what I expect coming from the future of Blizzard. So let's start with Classic WoW. November 12th, Phase 2 will be released. That was the big announcement for Classic WoW. Really, it was a small announcement. There wasn't very much to say. They didn't really give any more information about Classic WoW other than November 12th is when Phase 2 will be released. That's coming right up. It's almost here. If you're listening to this podcast, it's the first day it's out. You only got a couple more days. So this includes world bosses and the PvP honor system. Every person I've talked to has said that the longer we take, the better. The longer Blizzard waits to deliver all the classic content, the better it will be. I want to revel in this game. I want to sit and play and explore every day. There's not enough time to see everything, and I'm nowhere near burned out from playing as much as I have. I hope Blizzard slows down its content releases and really lets us bake in this phase that will be coming on November 12th. Some of the concerns I've heard raised for this coming phase is world PvP and how the servers will handle it. The game starts getting very choppy with hundreds of players in the same area, and world bosses will be very likely to attract that many people on the larger servers. It's going to be an interesting time seeing how playable the game is come Phase 2 launch. The next thing from BlizzCon, retail World of Warcraft. It's still a thing. It's still going on. They announced Shadowlands, the new expansion set. Sylvanas is leading us into the realm of death. A beautiful cinematic of Sylvanas fighting Bolvar, the Lich King, and she wins. She beats Bolvar, the Lich King. She destroys the Helm of Domination and breaks reality, opening a gateway into the Shadowlands. The feedback I've heard is that the game is taking steps in the right direction, but ultimately it feels and plays very similar to Battle for Azeroth. If BFA is your jam, you will probably love Shadowlands. I, and the people I've talked to, are very much classic enthusiasts. The game seems to have too many systems and not enough focus. I want agency over my character, and I feel that is lacking in retail. I can't play the game that I want to play. I'm playing the game the only way that I'm allowed to. I want to feel a personal connection to my character and have my own unique touch on it. BFA and retail feel very cookie cutter. I don't feel like I can progress my character in the direction I want to. I don't want to grind 3 different versions of the same content to get my gear. I don't want to clear a raid just to up the difficulty and start clearing it again. It's how a casual raider plays in Battle for Azeroth. You go into Raid Finder once a week, try that, Then you go into normal and eventually clear that. Then you go into heroic and try that. If you actually clear heroic, then you might move on to mythic rating. So guess what? Yes, you do the same exact fights you've been doing and easily clearing in Raid Finder in normal mode, only this time you wipe on them, and it gets frustrating. There is no moment of triumph, there is no huzzah moment when overcoming a boss as a casual raider, because there's still another level of difficulty that you have to do to get the best gear in the game. I honestly believe that the last raid tier that was good in Warcraft was Ulduar. Ulduar has some special modes and difficulties, but you activated them by doing a special sequence. Mimiron had a button in the back of his room. The Iron Council became more difficult depending on your kill order. The vehicle battle at the beginning, it changed difficulty depending on how you cleared the areas leading up to the battle. But there was only one raid lockout. You didn't have to repeat the content 4 times a week, every week, on a single character to enjoy the game / maximize your loot chances. Of course, there were people with alts and all that, but you're no longer a casual raider if you're running splits and using alts to gear mains. That's leading into hardcore territory. And I'm harping on something that I hope gets changed eventually. Remove raid difficulties. Remove Raid Finder, remove LFG and the ability to spam dungeons easily by forming a match-made group and teleporting to it. Creating ease of access to content just creates more burnout and removes the epic feel and the sense of accomplishment when the item you want finally drops. It just feels like you clicked your buttons enough to get lucky enough to spin the slot machine to land in your favor. In Classic, forming the group, getting through the content for a chance, had something more to it. It was work, and it's satisfying. The sense of mystery and wonder around raids and getting a group together to be able to do them is lost when you can just run the LFR once and see all the content. And that's my little opinion piece on Shadowlands. It looks again fun. Like whenever I play retail, I'm like, wow, this game is beautiful. There's a lot of like really cool spells and all this stuff. It looks good. But there's just something lost in the system, something lost in the sauce, as they say. So let's talk about another game from Blizzard, Heroes of the Storm. Deathwing was explored more after his announcement the week before at BlizzCon. Deathwing is really awesome for Heroes. He's one of these crazy, game-breaking characters that's the reason I fell in love with Heroes of the Storm. Murky, Abathur, the Lost Vikings, Cho'Gall, all were something I had never seen before. The characters that came out during the HGC era were all balanced around the competitive scene. This character seems like the first character in a long time that doesn't have that balance. HGC might have died, but that might have allowed Deathwing to live. He's a giant dragon. He breathes fire and breaks the world wherever he goes. He's unstoppable at all times. He cannot be healed by his teammates, only globes and fountains. He can fly into the sky to regenerate his HP, and then he can land anywhere on the map that he has vision. He seems to play like a bruiser melee assassin. He can't be supported, so he can't rely on his teammates to make up for his mistakes and replenish his massive HP pool. He looks awesome, and he'll get me to come back and play a few games, at least just to see him in action. The last BlizzCon that I was hyped for with Heroes of the Storm was when they announced Lunara, Greymane, and Cho'Gall. I remember sitting around with my friends watching the announcements thinking how cool Lunara was. Then they showed Greymane and we all thought, wow, now that's cool. And then finally they showed Cho'Gall and we all about lost our minds. This hero would never exist in a competing game. League would never do it. Dota would never do it. And it was something that would only be found in this beautiful Blizzard brawler that featured some of my favorite lore characters and broke the mold of the MOBA genre. I'm hopeful this isn't the last we see of the characters that break mold. He seems awesome. If more characters like him come out in the future, I might be moving back into playing more heroes in my downtime. Overwatch. That's the next thing I want to talk about. Overwatch 2, a PvE expansion to Overwatch, was announced. It's being branded as Overwatch 2, but it's kind of strange. It's kind of an expansion pack. All the competitive content and the new stuff that affects the PvP environment of competitive Overwatch will be available free to all Overwatch players. The new content, which is story missions and hero missions, basically player versus environment content, it's what's included in Overwatch 2. Is this another $60 game? Overwatch doesn't have a subscription model. Releasing a new game will split the player base, and Overwatch League and Overwatch itself are too large, and it wouldn't make sense to do that. So they found a way to create something new that will attract a new type of player to the Overwatch genre while not splitting the player base. Story missions appeal to a lot of players that do not want to play the competitive aspect of Overwatch, myself included. I'm terrible at the game, and I don't want to let my teammates down by dragging down a team of players with that skill. So a game mode that requires me to be only better than myself each time is something I can get behind. They also announced a new hero, a Canadian hero that goes by the name Sojourn. They didn't indicate what her abilities are. As for a release date, Jeff Kaplan, the game director, stated that he has no idea when the game will come out. Am I going to purchase it? I don't know yet. It seems interesting for sure, but I don't know what the price tag is and what exactly we're getting before I jump on board. Another thing to talk about with BlizzCon and Overwatch is Team USA winning over China in the Overwatch World Cup at BlizzCon. You couldn't set up a more perfect story. All the hate and vitriol that's been thrown Blizzard's way over the last few weeks has come from them appearing to appease the Chinese government for fear of losing their ability to sell games there. So seeing Team USA win over the Chinese team was really poetic. They swept China 3-0 in the final, only losing one map the entire time to South Korea. Congratulations to them. It's the first U.S. victory in the Overwatch World Cup. So the next thing I want to talk about is Warcraft 3 Reforged. So BlizzCon talked about this. At all BlizzCon 2019 attendees, as well as fans watching at home with virtual tickets, will be able to join the multiplayer beta starting the week of November 4th. They didn't announce a release date, but that the release date will be coming, quote, soon, unquote. This might mean that the 2019 release is still coming, but it might also mean that the game will be pushed back to 2020. We just don't know. Undead and Night Elves are being pushed onto the beta now, and by the end of the beta, all multiplayer functions should be in the game. So, Warcraft 3 Reforged, lots of new, like you can see all the models, all the characters, they've redone them. Like they talked about the fact that there was, most of the models in the game were recolors and resizings, and that they went through and redid like unique models, and they gave the characters hands and fingers so they can actually grasp their weapons now. But it was a real challenge to get the units to actually have the exact same animation times. The missiles had to hit at the exact same moment, the same frames. Everything had to work out perfectly. So it was really interesting getting a little more details on Warcraft 3 Reforged. A lot of people are excited to play this Warcraft 3 Reforged. And it looks awesome. I can't wait to try it out. I'm not a very good Warcraft 3 player, but I played a lot of StarCraft 2, a lot of StarCraft, and I know it's obviously a very different game, but it'll be a lot of fun to check it out, especially with the new models and the new visuals. The next thing I want to talk about is Hearthstone, moving right along. Hearthstone had an announcement of a new expansion, The Descent of Dragons. It was announced it will release on December 11th, and the adventure will release in January. They also announced a new game mode, Hearthstone Battlegrounds. It's an 8-player mode that is inspired by the auto battle genre. And then in esports news for Hearthstone, VK Lion, I don't know how you even say that, Lion? It's lion, but with like 3 O's in it. It sets new records this year playing Hearthstones. She became the first woman and the first Chinese player to win a Hearthstone Grandmasters Championship, and also the first woman to ever win a Grand Finals trophy at BlizzCon. She won $200,000 for winning, and she encouraged other women who were aspiring to get into the professional scene, saying, 2 years ago, and this is her quote, 2 years ago, I remember when I was competing in a huge tournament. I was waiting in line for a sign up, and there's this guy telling me, you should not be waiting in line here. It's not for you. She said, now today I'm here with all the support from the fans. I want to say to all the girls out there who have a dream for esports, for competition, for glory, if you want to do it and you believe in yourself, you should just forget your gender and go for it. Those were her words. Really awesome, inspirational, great stuff. I want to move on because Hearthstone's not my jam, okay? So I'm going to move on. Hearthstone is a good game, but I want to move on to the big media announcement. The thing that Blizzard was really excited about, Diablo 4. There was a gorgeous cinematic for Diablo 4 announced at it was shown at BlizzCon. They seem to be embracing the occult. We got it. And satanic sides of Diablo. They're embracing the occult and satanic sides of Diablo again. Diablo 3 felt a little too clean as a game. It's like a movie franchise going from rated R for adults only to PG-13, meaning parental guidance recommended 13 years and older. The game will be an open world and feature a non-linear campaign. 5 playable classes, 3 that were announced: Barbarian, Sorceress, Druid. Barbarian's the classic class. You can smash things with your weapon or your body. Sorceress is the other side of that classic coin, throwing out giant spells, blowing up enemies with magic. And then Druids have both animal companions and shapeshifting. Druids look sweet. But Diablo 3 pets, they never felt that impactful. I don't ever really remember a build. Maybe Witch Doctor pets, but I never felt like they were the thing that drove the game. I felt like they were a hindrance to my character because some of my power budget was given to my pets instead of me. Maybe people will love it. Maybe it's great. I don't know. We'll see how this game balances them later when we finally get to play it, though. We'll see how pets balance out. It'll be nice to see how this game plays, but Diablo 3 has kind of left a bad taste in my mouth from the Diablo franchise. The game's kind of boring. I want the game to break when I play it. I feel like every build that I can go is something that the developers designed and allowed to exist. I don't want the designers to tell me how to play their game. I want them to allow me to break their game by doing something they didn't intend. I want items to be impactful and feel like I can gear my character the way I want to. Maybe it's an impossible request. Maybe I'm asking too much, but the game looks beautiful, and as for a release date, it's not coming anytime soon. That's everything I wanted to talk about this week for What's News. It's all BlizzCon stuff. It's all good. You know, the general consensus I feel after BlizzCon is good. You know, J. Allen Brack got up on stage. He apologized for how they handled the Blitzchung incident. I didn't really care that he apologized. I think it was something he had to do. But I also don't really feel... actions will speak louder than words, right? He can say it. He can say, I'm sorry, we should have done better. We have not done as good as we can. But the actions coming forward will tell us exactly where Blizzard lies. And I'm hopeful after this, and maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that's exactly what they did. They wanted to do this for the PR. I'm hopeful that Blizzard is making steps in the right direction to be the company that I want them to be the company they have been in the past. So, coming out of last week, I was very, very pessimistic about Blizzard. Now I'm a little more optimistic. So maybe that's the point. Maybe that's why they did it. All right, guys. So here's my interview this week. I've got Egregious on, the Resto Shaman guide creator. Okay, if you want to play a Resto Shaman, you have to look up his guides. Go to classicwow.live. Check out his guides on Resto Shaman. Check him out on Twitch, twitch.tv/egregious. He is the shaman player, man. He is honestly just an expert on everything shaman. Resto Shaman in particular. Check him out. And I hope you enjoy the interview. Here it is, my interview with Egregious. Hello, listeners. This week, I'm talking with another Classic WoW Shaman player. Excuse me. I should say I'm speaking with the Classic WoW Shaman player. He creates guides. You can find them on the website classicwow.live. He's helped inform thousands of people how to be a better shaman. He's playing on the North American server Scarum, leading the 400-person guild Invictus. You can find him streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/egregious. He's Egregious, the Resto Shaman, the Shaman Powerhouse. Thanks so much for being here, man. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Jamily. Not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah.
Just coming off a Reddit post that I'm still reeling from, but it was good to post. I don't know.
The Reddit post. Can you tell me about it? What did you say?
It was coming off BlizzCon. So my the website that I'm working with, ClassicWow.live, they all got to go to BlizzCon. They got press passes. I was unfortunately left out, and I was just posting about they announced Phase 2. Obviously, Phase 2 is big news, but I think that we're maybe going a little bit too quickly, and I hearkened, sort of like the current iteration of Classic development to the old vanilla one. I drew up a timeline and like a calendar, and then just sort of said, like, if we're going this quickly, there's going to be, and we're assuming that we're going to keep to a 26-month schedule, there's probably going to be a 5-month dead period between now and BWL, unless they do filler content and make like a 2.5 phase launch or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we're moving fast.
Yes, we are,
with Dire Maul out, and then and even just Phase 2 release is a little bit faster than it was originally.
No, I think it's however they do it, I think it's fine as long as we keep the game at a length that, like no less than 26 months, long enough for us to experience and have a good time in. I just think they might be threatening to cut into a couple tiers of content here or there. So I caught a bunch of flack for it from the community, who thought I was maybe pandering to the player base that isn't 60. I don't know. It was unclear, but
Yeah, I don't know. So last week I talked with a guy who has the hammer of sulfuress, the hand of Ragnaros.
I know him on our server. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that he wants content to slow down. He's like, I want to go even slower than we're going right now. And then the guy I talked to before that, Totem, he said that we should go slower. Like, it seems like the majority of people I talk to have said we should slow down content. It should go slower, even slower than it is. Just stretch it out, baby, because this is beautiful. Like, this is the game. This is amazing. Like, I'm having fun just playing this game every day. And, like, yeah. I'm not running out. I'm not burned out. I'm not, like...
Yeah, and I think that, like, with the reward system that was structured into Classic, picking up gear and gearing out your character and getting, immersed in your character does take a little bit more time. So there's no harm in letting a content patch or, like, a phase go for a couple extra months, or, like, MC going 8 months. I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world. AQ is only 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think that deserves an extra month in there.
And there's alts, man. You have so many.
I know. I'm already leveling
slots.
my mage.
Yeah.
I'm doing that ZG farm right now. Or ZF farm right now. It's a little.
Oh wow.
I'm not great at shattering yet. I'm trying.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think leveling up every time you pass a mage, you're just kind of like, go to hell. Like, how dare you?
I did pick the easiest route. I did.
Yeah. And then Kargath is just like they're money printing. They're printing money with their spells. I'm like trying to find ways to monetize my totems. Like, hey, I'll give you Wind Fury. I'll give you Wind Fury for money. Come on, guys. No one cares. Yeah.
He's not in range. You're bad at it. You dropped me. I didn't get a heal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mage is just you teleport me, give me some water. I give like a mage 5 gold every time I going into DM for a window of water. Like, wow. They just print money. They print money.
Wow, you're more generous than I do. I'm trying to make them fight each other. I'm like, I'll give you guys. I'll step out in Kargath.
I don't have time to wait.
I'll be in the Kargath. I'll be like 50 silver for a port to Orgrimmar, and I'll usually get an invite. I'm like, here you go. Here's your 50 silver.
Wow.
Because they're
like
all
Marilyn Monroe. I don't get a bed for less than several hundred gold.
Okay, so the first question that I should have started with, I start with everybody, but it happens that we get off track a little bit in the beginning. But the first question I'm going to talk about to you is more about your general video game history, and it's what's the first game that you ever played that left an impression on you? Do you remember?
I mean, the first game I ever got was Zelda, and for the N64, that game probably started like me as a video gamer.
Ocarina of Time.
I know it started. Yeah, Ocarina of Time. Yeah, that was Yeah, that's the one. Easy.
Do you know how old were you then?
A child, 11, 12.
Okay. And then
N64 was like a little bit old at the time, but like my parents, like many, were resistant, to consoles and didn't understand. But yeah, Ocarina of Time was definitely that game.
And were video games like a social thing for you growing up, or was it just like a thing you did for fun when you got home that you were just like, it's my personal thing?
I think it became both. Like I had, when we grew up, I grew up in the suburbs. It was like a neighborhood where, you would transition right off the bus, like hang around people's yards, like go to the park, whatever, and then roll inside. And like a lot of us had consoles or were getting them, like PlayStations and Nintendo 64s. And so like it was definitely a solo thing for me. Like I would do it personally after homework, but like I would also have friends come over and we would do, like little gaming sessions. But
gotcha. Did you guys play any Smash Brothers?
Yeah, I'm not very I'm quite bad at Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
quite bad.
Yeah, you had to turn items on so you can even the playing field.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who were very good. I didn't really quite get to a level where I was good until it was like Xbox Live and Halo.
Gotcha. So
I was sort of like, then WoW happened, and then no other game has ever held my interest.
Well, gotcha. So Halo. So then you played Vanilla WoW. I'm assuming you played in.
Yeah, it was the first day of school I ever skipped was to go buy the game. I didn't know it needed a subscription, right? I don't think many of us did. So I skipped my first day of school in freshman year to go buy WoW. I walked because I didn't know how to take the bus because I was an idiot. I went in with my pilfered mother's credit card, RIP, and purchased the game. Came home, installed it 4 CDs, right, one at a time.
Yeah,
Was super excited. My computer still, my parents still have it in their house, but like that thing was a toaster. Took forever. Then like finished installing when they got home, which is when I tried to log in and realized I needed a account. It took me 2 days to convince them.
Wow. Did you have Warcraft experience? What caused you to get
No.
the game? Why did you get it on release? What was the hype?
I
about it?
had friends who did have Warcraft experience, right? So they were very excited, and me being a bandwagony idiot got swept up. And then I was the most excited. I somehow became the most excited, and I was the one that skipped school with the friend who told me about it, and no one else bothered, right? So we went and got the game together. But I don't know. I just like it sounded really cool, and it looked really cool.
I mean, it is really cool, and it
is really cool. It's still very cool.
And then, so you played all? Have you played retail? Have you played all these expansions? When did you stop playing, and then when did you start playing private servers?
I stopped playing. I've played retail since it came out, and competitively since Wrath, the beginning of Wrath, and then I stopped playing right after Tier 11 when I joined briefly, like Vodka, right? Who was at the time the #1 U.S. guild, raided in Tier 11 with them and burned the hell out.
Yeah.
That was an experience. They told me when I joined, they were like level 2 alts. You have a week, and I did, and then we played, and secured US first, and then I was just like, I'm no longer raiding. So I took the rest of Cataclysm all the way up to Siege of Orgrimmar off, basically, and then that was when I was playing private servers at like 2011 on Phoenix to like about 2015, 2014. Then I quit, and I just sort of, I don't know what I was doing that time. I was in New York. Yeah, I was in New York, not doing anything except drinking. So,
oh, fun. That's a good time.
Yeah, always a good time.
Yeah,
New York is a good place.
And so, when did you start making guides, and when did you start making stuff for people to learn how to become a better Shaman player or a better Warcraft player?
That was definitely when I was like in 2011 in Phoenix, right? So like Phoenix, WoW, maybe one of the first to do the private server scene. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how extensively you have a history in it either. That was where I landed.
Yeah, I have zero private server experience.
You're not an illegal pirate?
No, yeah, I didn't. For some reason, it was like one of those things that I saw it and I was like, that exists, but I just assumed, and I've talked to other people about this, I just assumed there was always like 1 or 2 people on the server that like were hacking and they would just kill me instantly. And so I was like, I don't really want to be a part of something where like the guy who owns the server just does whatever he wants.
I know what you mean. Because my friend and I had like made a copy of the client on like our computer at home, right, to like test stuff out, like way back in maybe early TBC or late vanilla. So like that's what I thought as well, that people would just be like doing whatever. But we rolled there like one summer. I was just on vacation, and my friends were like, "Do you want to be 10 mages in Warsun Gulch?" And I was like, "That sounds hilarious." So we did. Right, we rolled on, and like Phoenix had like an instant 60 realm just for funsies.
Yeah.
And we rolled there and like had a bunch of fun as mages, and we decided that we'd roll, the 1 to 60 grind because it was 14x, and they all burned out, and I stayed, and then I was a private server kid, and I decided to write guides, and it stemmed from ego and narcissism back then, but I was 21, so like that was a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything we do at 21 is like is ego and narcissism.
Yeah, that is true.
So what's your favorite thing to do in WoW now?
Run in circles on the roof of Orgrimmar.
The Orgrimmar Bank, yeah. I feel like that every time I end up doing that, if I ever find myself doing that, that's when I quit an expansion. I don't know. That's like my my metric.
That's where I have conversations with people, right? So like I look like I'm running around in circles on the bank, but like I'm actually like talking to people on Discord or But no, I mean, my favorite activity would obviously be raiding, other than AFKing and Org.
Gotcha. So I want to ask you some. As I said when we introduced you, you have a 400-person guild, Invictus. What's some of the challenges with running a guild that some people might not realize? Like, what has changed as you scaled up your guild? With 400 people, there must be a lot of officers and guild management needs to be done. Can you tell me about that?
I think maybe for a guild that size is making sure everyone's on the same page and stays on the same page. And also people like designing that officer and leadership structure so that you don't, like there were times in the beginning where I was quoted as having said something because a class leader or, the way we've defined class leaders in our guild had said something about a policy or something we do. And that had wound up getting, working against me because someone is like, well, the leadership of this guild. I'm like, no. the leadership, there are only actually so many of us. Like there are 7, right?
Wow.
And like everyone else does the great service, right, of providing their free time in a game that they enjoy to like help run that organization, right? So we have about 10 class leaders per each raid, which we have five full 40-man raids.
Wow.
And then we have like raid managers and raid organizers like above them, and then we have officers, 1 from each above them, and then like myself, Cargos, and Navik, and Melderon at the very top. So they're only actually people with like real say. There are very few of them, and we tend to agree. But making sure that the average player and like the people who are enjoying their time in the guild understand what the fuck is going on is probably the most important part.
Yeah.
Of running that guild.
Yeah, they say, I mean, just as a management, from a managing a job perspective, they say one person can only handle like 10 people at most. Like 10 people's, 12 people's like the maximum amount of people that a single person can manage. So to see that you have 400 people and you have 7 people watching over them, obviously there's a tier structure.
Well, there would be people below, yeah.
Right.
But it's 7 people who like we decide if we want to do. We enacted a DKP system, right? That we've sort of reverse engineered from Nerf DKP. So that's like a policy we set that we use DKP. Then if we want to do like alliance raids, we allow people to promote an idea like for a group or guild event, and then we would rubber stamp that, right? Like we wouldn't allow people to like fly our banner in a city raid if we didn't anticipate like positive result, or if we thought people would represent us poorly.
Gotcha.
And like that's the kind of decision that we like make as leadership, and then like everyone else sort of just is on board with that, wants to support it, wants to see that go well, and helps facilitate that in some way.
Gotcha. How have you felt making these guys? Like, is it the I don't know, it's just like I want to ask about the social aspect of becoming a creator, and how it's differed you from a player when you start off playing this game and loving it, and now you have to create things, and you have a voice in it, and you have like people are looking to you for information, and obviously like today you posted this thing and people are giving you flack for it. How has that changed the way you play the game and play games in general?
I mean, as I've grown up, I've taken this quote to heart. It's like the final stage in learning is teaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, like writing guides or trying to be a community figure in whatever way I am or work to be, is like teaching people brings me more joy in the game and like helping people get to some place than like hitting chain heal over and over, right?
Yeah.
Or like killing the same boss.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's more about like helping other players get that experience that I enjoy, and like making sure that like they're at a level that like I respect, right? Like I don't mind, people can be at all kinds of levels in the game, and I don't mind. But like if you're trying to play the game, I'll be there to help you. Or like if you would like help from me, I would it's complicated, but I think mostly it's just like I like the aspect of teaching, and just seeing if I truly understand what I'm talking about, right? Like that's I think trying to coherently talk about something that you do is very challenging, right? Because you have to convey a bunch of deep information very clearly to someone who might not have,
right? Yeah,
a context or a basis in that.
Right. Being able to actually vocalize what you know is actually a whole nother step to knowing something.
Yes. And I try not to be like Wayne Gretzky, not to compare myself to the great of all time, but like, right. Not being able to articulate yourself means maybe at some level you don't also understand something.
Yeah. You kind of have an innate concept of it, but you don't have a way to vocalize it. I understand. Mm-hmm. Or I think I understand. I'm vocalizing understanding.
Same.
So what content phase are you looking forward to the most for Classic WoW? What's the thing that you think is what are you looking forward to?
Oh, sorry, 5 with AQ.
AQ.
I think that gate opening event is something I never got to participate in.
Yeah.
Right, as a kid, I just wasn't online for it. I didn't even know it was happening.
Yeah.
Like, from what I've seen so far with Classic, I'm absolutely sure it will be a shit show of the highest order.
Right. Yeah.
So I can only imagine how entertaining and like how frustrating and how how much like people's egos and social personalities, how much conflict there will be there, and I
Yeah.
just think that's probably going to be extremely interesting.
Yeah, I cannot wait to find out who's going to be the Scarab Lord and how they're going to.
I think our server will be able to generate 10. So I was actually doing math on this the other day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm a big nerd. This is what
I love it. I love it.
That's what I do. But I think on a server like ours, right,
Mhm.
which is huge, we have like a massive horde population.
Right.
I think the alliance are pretty much screwed. So I think that a top guild or two will share Hive Regal or Regal, however you want to call it, because it's the best one. But there's still two other hives that can produce well over 120 like elite scarabs per 5 minutes, right? If the 5 minute respawn timer, there are 120 spawn locations on the shittier ones. That's like if you're farming with a rate of 40 and you're getting 40 kills a minute, then it will only take you like 2.85. I can't remember. I did the math. It's like it will take you 2 days and 8/10 of a day to farm a single scarab. And so this is obviously not including PvP conflict and like everything that will go into the social dynamic of securing a location and making sure everyone's online and like continuously farming and the lag. But I think that you're going to see about 10 scarab lords, 8 to 10 scarab lords on our server or other high pop servers where the faction imbalance is strong. If the faction imbalance were more even, then the competition would be harder, right? Because like
because they can actually kill you off the farming area.
They can, they can just push you right out. But like I think on servers, most of the servers will see their gates open if they have a competitive guild on their server looking to secure top like US or world positions, whatever that means. You're going to see the gates open in 7 days and 13 hours.
Wow. Okay. That's much. What was it? It was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks originally?
Yeah. And this is like speculation. Like this is,
just
because no one is going to want to wait on those servers. They're going to want to push for world first Cthulhu, right? If they're a very competitive guild. And the only way to do that is to have the war effort be done on day one and then, go through your Broodlord headlock out the first week and then be done with your red scepter shard on reset of day 7, right? And then it would go, the 10-hour war would start basically 2 hours later. That's about 7 days and 13 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about, and I love it. Because everyone talks about the effort, and the only thing I know about the AQ effort is that elemental earth is going to be really important. And everyone's like, don't sell that now because it's going to be worth more.
That will definitely go up. That's a good investment.
So you got me thinking in my head about PvP, and since the PvP system's almost here, do you think how many high warlords do you think we'll have on our server? How many spots will be there?
It's scalable, right? So it's like a percent. So like whatever the top standing is, it's like the top 0.01. I can't remember. I think maybe on like the larger, because it's so much larger than a lot of the retail servers, right? Which only ever, some of the servers had a window for 2 to 3 high warlords per week. Yeah. On the more populous faction. So I don't know, like on ours, the question is like, can you compete for the threshold base honor?
Mm-hmm. It's gonna
you should be able to with cross realm battlegrounds, I think. But
I mean, before it with just world PvP, it's gonna be really hard to find alliance.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will hit rank 14. I don't think anyone will hit rank 13. Okay. Before BGs.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it takes a week each time to get rank up. Yeah.
But I think there's like a base, like I can't remember the formula off my head, but there's like some base amount of honor that has to be generated for you to like push through like the higher tiers very quickly, right? Mm-hmm. There's like sort of fall off. I'm not a math magician, so it's like I'm not explaining very well. But
no, I tried it because it's a very complex, convoluted honor system that that only some people understand it. I had
I definitely don't to the degree that like I would need to explain it. I definitely don't.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that we'll see. I think our server like might see once cross run battlegrounds go out, like 3 to 5 a week. Like that might be the like the maximum number of high warlords on like for our faction, just on scare.
Yeah, and then
Grand Marshals maybe 1 or 2 because their honor restrictions are more limited.
Yeah, they have no players.
Yeah.
It's
Unfortunately,
it's
rip.
crazy. Yeah, I've been noticing that I have no. Do you want Blizzard to do anything about that to fix the server? I don't think they should. I feel like they could. Maybe it would be fine, but I think no matter what they do, someone's going to complain, and some people are going to be unhappy. So I don't think they'll do anything.
Yeah, they sort of at BlizzCon. I was told someone was having a conversation. This is very, very specific information I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Someone I was told that someone was having a conversation with a developer, and they said, "Yeah, we sort of fucked that up with the open, non-mitigated server transfers. Like there were ways that they could have implemented it. Apparently, the system. So like they've done faction limited transfers in the past, right, on the website, but apparently the in-game server transfer portal was new technology, and they didn't have a limiter in place in time for faction only, like specific faction transfers in that. So like I was told by someone who went to BlizzCon that they acknowledged that and were like, yeah, that was kind of a mistake.
Yeah.
But the only things that I could think you would do at this point would be to collapse like symmetrically imbalanced servers into each other, which I don't think they'll do.
Right.
Or just wait out server death and then smush them into other servers, which I think they might do.
Yeah, I had a friend who played on Skyrim as an alliance, and everybody transferred. He said that he would tell me that all the alliance are all they talk about in general chat, in trade chat. All they talk about is that this server is awful because of how many horde there are, and every day there are less and less alliance because they're all transferring off for the free transfers. I
have a friend back from Phoenix who's playing in Crown on the alliance on Skyrim. And he said there was one day he was just like, yeah, like everyone I know is gone. Like they all left. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, they all transferred off. And I didn't even realize that server transfers had been open at that point. Because I was like 2 weeks in, I was still reeling from like sleep deprivation from rushing to 60 in 6 days.
Yeah, you were insane. I was watching you.
It was a lot and hurt my brain. I'm still recovering. But like I didn't even realize it was happening until it's still open. Our server transfers are still open on our server. And I think that they should really close them. Or offer like a stimulus. They're still open
for both sides for alliance.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look in game right now, they're open. Like you can go select a server transfer off, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why. Like they should close them.
Yeah,
and only have them open for horde.
Right.
Because they should stop allowing people to leave. It's just I don't know. Like the slide is unreal right now. I think they think most of the damage is already done, but. I mean, last night we were all joking during that whole Blackrock Mountain PvP thing.
Yeah.
Which made it to Reddit on Skyrim. Was we were all joking. We were like, okay, well, there go the rest of the alliance. Like, you know, it was a coalition of Rise, Reign, Crown, and 2 other guilds. I can't remember the names, but they got wiped in Blackrock Mountain. And the lag, I think, favors the attacker. Absolutely does, because like they just got totally obliterated.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we were all joking like they're going to transfer off. Like that's it.
Yeah, why be on when you just have no chance when you have your outweigh.
I mean, it's like a PvP is like wet dream though, right? Like if you're on, like there's PvP forever, like for days. Like you can do whatever you want anywhere you go. There's going to be horde. Like I'll AFK in the middle of the world. This is how like sure I am that I won't get ganked.
Right. Yeah, I've done that too. I've just AFK'd in the middle of that pass from Kargath to the Searing Gorge.
That's so brazen. Like,
right, yeah.
Could you ever imagine doing that? Like, that's just so.
I was thinking about it while I was doing it today. I was like, wow, I just all tabbed out and was doing other stuff, and then I came back and my character's totally fine. Like, and there's horde just running past me. There's like 7 horde like every minute just running past me. Yeah, and no alliance going near.
I don't know what they can do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think that because you're right, they will make people angry. I don't think there's anything. They've committed to that course.
Yeah, I think Skyrim's just going to be that way until they start getting into, if they do this, if they start getting into like the fresh servers idea.
Seasons of like classic.
Yeah,
that's what I call them. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I've been thinking like New Game Plus or whatever they want to call them. I don't know how they would, if there was like, hey, you got the 60 on an old server. Here's a pet or something to keep in your bags. I don't know.
They're definitely going to do something, right? Because like they're sitting there in their boardroom losing their mind about how many subs they have that generate only $15. Like that to them is like And I don't think I really, and people are gonna maybe hate me for saying, I don't think adding things like pet battles or like
Oh, yuck.
is horrible for the game. But like, I mean, it's like
Oh, you
it
think
turns something
it's
that's like
okay?
I don't think it really matters. Like it impacts gameplay. Like server transfers impact gameplay.
Hmm.
Cross-run battlegrounds impact gameplay. Transmog even impacts. And I've explained this a million times. Like if I see you running down the street in your clown gear, I know exactly what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you're transmogged and I have no idea what you're wearing.
Yeah. I just
Right.
got the tier 2 helmet, and now I have I
Nice.
can wear that in my head. And now when people target me, they can see my eyes glowing. And I'm like, yes, you will.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself.
Like,
I'm
oh,
here.
okay, maybe this guy's in some gear. Like I should worry about this man.
Yeah. And yeah, transmog
But
would ruin that.
there are things that like there are definitely systems they've implemented over the course of time that have taken away from the game. But I don't think pet battles is one of them. And I don't think everything they do has taken away. I think there are many things they've done that have added value, like increasing complexity of raids or like trying to flesh out some professions and add arena. Like I don't think these things detract from the game. Flying, maybe.
Hmm.
Right. Unless like, but like there are things that they could do and people and to make a couple more bucks and like allow you, but like they're just, I'm sure they're sitting there in their boardroom wondering what can we do to like, otherwise there's going to be, you know, just a way to convert people to Shadowlands or like whatever current retail game.
Yeah.
And I hope that we don't sit here and like limit classic and classic plus or TBC classic or whatever these things are going to be to just like attempts for Blizzard to convert you back to retail.
Okay. So you think the people, and I guess I'm a naive like this, and that I'm like, I just assume the people developing the game, making the game, are just like, let's just make a good game.
I would love that.
Yeah, but you think that the people that are directing the game, they actually have like, we need to make money to.
I think that, well,
Yeah.
they're a company, right? So
Right.
like I think that the people who work on classic maybe have the best intentions,
Mm-hmm.
but the people who they work for
Right.
maybe necessarily not.
Right. Their intentions are for the company, to make money and to make it the benefit of everyone that works there and the benefit of the company itself.
Yeah.
Which is not.
So but like I think it's kind of so the community has talked about Classic Plus and like TBC Classic or what are they going to do after Classic,
Mhm.
right? Like that's and I hope they do something new. But then people always just like throw their hands up and they're like, oh, that's going to take development money and time, and they're going to have to hire people, and they would never do that because like why would they invest in something that has like a limited profit structure? And I honestly can't answer that question, but I like you would hope it's because they just want to develop a good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like how much ever profit that drives is however much profit that drives. Like EVE Online is a great example. I cite this all the time. They've stuck to their niche. They've stuck to their guns. They develop a game that they want to play and they think their players want to play, and that's what they do. They haven't sold out. They haven't diverted from that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope Classic will be that. I really do.
Honestly, believe that's why Classic is so good, though, is because it was developed as a game to be played like as a game. Like it wasn't. They didn't build it and say like, okay, well, how do we get as many subs as possible? Obviously, they had no idea how many people were going to play when they launched it.
Oh.
And like the subscription model was like, okay, this is what we're doing. How do we keep this up? Like, how do we sustain this? And they're like, well, we're going to have to do a subscription.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, it was kind of an afterthought, right? That's in my opinion. That's what I have no idea. I'm just speculating. And that
I think that was the like. It helped drive them to become that huge business they became, right? And like that was the only way that money was generated for a period of time until they started implementing transfers and renames and appearance overhauls and all of that. And then they, started adding pets and vanity items and further, further ways of microtransactions that everyone hates. And
right.
I hope they don't necessarily go to that level, but I'm sure that there are ways for them to have a more profitable game that can still be developed in the vein of original vanilla or original or classic or whatever you want to call it. Just like something that's more uniquely old school. I don't know, but I'm hoping they will.
Yeah. For me,
I have faith in them, and then people yell at me and they're like, "You're
you
done."
have faith in them. Yeah. I think that's the thing. Yeah. Some people don't have faith. I think most people, maybe, I don't know. This is just me again, assuming most people don't have faith in Blizzard because of how crazy Battle for Azeroth has gotten and how Shadowlands, the big takeaway I've heard from BlizzCon so far has been, well, it's more of the same. It's got steps in the right direction, but it's still.
I see elements, but you can't do a 180 like after 15 years, right? I
Right.
see steps in the right direction, and like the people who I know panned it for just from looking at it from BlizzCon, and I didn't really look at it hard because I really only care about Classic right now. I didn't even have the mental energy to care about Shadowlands. But just from what I saw and like their bullet points, like it seemed more like they wanted to bring it back in a direction where where the player matters and like your character matters to the player. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. With
this
the
is a totally uneducated opinion because like I didn't look into it.
That's what we do here on Jam and Cast. Totally uneducated opinions that it's just fun. It's just fun to talk about.
Yeah.
They talked about all these like giving spells abilities back to characters, totems for the like. I don't know what.
I cried when they took my totems. I was really sad. I remember the one day they were just gray items in my bag, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "How did this happen?" I've been carrying these around for like 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah.
They just turned them into gray items that I vendored. I just vendored them. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I remember installing the demo for Classic after the last BlizzCon at level 15 in Crossroads, and putting down a searing totem, and like God, it was like this like glorious like just this friend that I had lost. Like he had gone off to another, like he had moved to another country or something.
What
10
they
years
did
ago.
to, especially Shaman, was one of the more flavorful classes, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that when they started to prune that flavor away. Like I really was not a fan.
The only thing I'd want them to do, and I know this is to give shamans a 4th talent tree where they can tank. And maybe they shouldn't. Maybe that's how they monetize Classic. Give you new specs, or
they could develop. I mean, there's so many things they could do. Like the speculation is literally endless. If you like the thing I made, which was like comparing the vanilla timeline to the Classic timeline, like it ended with wild speculation. You know, after 2 years and a month, 3 months or whatever. Because there were many things I would love to see, and I guess we just have to, as a community, talk about what we want to see, and hopefully they listen.
Yeah.
Right.
So the one thing I was talking about the other day with someone was that in retail, every single spec has to be viable up to a point. While in Classic, like PvE, Enhance is not really a viable spec. It's like that's a meme spec for a reason. It's okay. You can do stuff with it if your raid allows it. But your raid slot is really, they could be bringing somebody else. Like you're fine. You can usually help in a 40-man raid. But if you're gonna min-max a raid and have all 40 people doing something, Enhance is not what you want to bring. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
No. So I would say in my
in
my opinion, yes, I would not like to bring an enhancement shaman because I'm trying to push my roster and my like 40 slots to their maximum potential. But while saying that, I would qualify that with there is always room. Like Classic isn't so strict. Like the bosses and the encounters are not strict enough to warrant what I'm doing. Right. Like you could have 5 enhancement shaman.
Yeah.
In your raid, and you could kill bosses all the way through next. I would say that closed in later expansions, and that's why it became so mandatory from a player perspective to make every class viable, or every spec viable, sorry, is because they raised the bar of difficulty until you literally couldn't kill a boss like Heartseeker and Ulduar because you couldn't meet DPS requirements, right? So like that, once you get there, then every spec has to be viable. Otherwise, people are extremely mad that they can't go to raid. In Classic, you can go to raid. Only a very small portion of guilds won't take you because you're
spec.
Yeah. Shaman. Maybe they won't take you because you're a boomkin, because there's like literally no literature on that and no one has any idea. But like, I don't think that the average raid won't take you.
Yeah, we need a boomkin. I need a boomkin specialist. Do you know any boomkin specialists?
I don't. I know there is one. Taladrill, who is like a theory crafter druid extraordinaire, would know who that person is. I don't know because I don't know any boomkins.
3% spell crit, man. Right? It's
Yeah.
3%
I mean,
spell
I
crit.
know Boomkins in TBC. I don't know Boomkins in Classic though.
Yeah. Wow. Because they got to innervate themselves and everyone's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be mad.
All right, man. That's all the questions I have for you. I want to thank you for coming on. I don't have anything. Is there any shout outs you want to make?
Thank you for having me.
Anything?
No, I didn't. I didn't come prepped with any shout outs. I feel badly now.
Gotcha.
Put me on the spot.
No, it's all right. That's fine. I said at the beginning, you guys should go to ClassicWow.live, look up all the guides there. They're so helpful. If you like shamans, if you like resto shamans especially, you have so much stuff from Egregious, from other people as well. And then Twitch, you're streaming now, twitch.tv/egregious.
I try. I'm trying to be better at it. The guild, as it takes less of my time, will allow me to stream.
It's EGREGIOUS, right? Egregious.
Correct. Yeah. Egregious.
Got it.
Not Egreg. The Europeans call me all kinds of funny names.
Egregious?
Egregious, yeah.
Oh,
the
got
big
it.
one.
Yeah, no one knows how to say my name for some reason, but it's fine.
Jamon.
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's Jaman with a J, but I get J-Man, I get Jaman, or, yeah.
Well, it's the best when English speakers don't know how to say it. Like, I don't know.
I don't even know how to say my name.
Reading is hard. I don't know how to say mine.
You could say whatever. I'll answer.
All right.
Well, thanks, man. I hope you have a good one.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Have a great evening.
Thanks for listening. I want to thank Egregious again for joining me. I have used his guides quite a bit, and to be able to sit down and talk with him, it was a treasure. Don't forget to check him out. As for myself, as for this podcast, there's always more coming down the pipe, and I release a new episode every Saturday that I hope you enjoy. Have a great night, have a great life, and have a great morning.